Good morning here from Los Angeles. This is Valerie. I'm the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and we're talking to Bogotá, Colombia this morning, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Duvan Duque Vargas, and I'm a writer director from Colombia, and I'm here to talk about All Inclusive, which is my latest film.
Wonderful. We have a short film with a wonderful filmmaker here called All Inclusive. It's a very interesting film that shows a very different side of drug dealing in Colombia and its effects on a young boy whose dad is considering involvement with the drug lord. The results of getting involved would extend to the man's family. And this is something we don't consider when we think about the drug trade, the all inclusive effects of the association and its ultimate price on family. Um, this is amazing, this film that shows the effects of a family that can suffer when a member becomes entangled with a drug lord. How did this story come to you? And have you seen this firsthand through someone you know? How did this story come to you? Is it firsthand, or did you know someone among the culture, common knowledge that is what happens when you sign on to such deals?
So it didn't start. The project didn't start with that world in mind. It started from recurrent childhood memories that came to me about my relationship with my stepmother and my father, who were both struggling as I grew up and were trying different business. They didn't get into that side of business, but they did try tons of stuff that didn't work. It was, for me, it's more a film about a family making things, trying to make things work. A family in crisis, both emotionally, with very fragile bonds between them, but also financially. And then the film, I always try to enter films through a very personal, emotional connection that I have from my own life. But then I try to make them speak to the collective, you know. And I wanted to, as I've done in my previous films, I wanted to talk about the relationship of the upper class in Bogota with money, power, and corruption, and also get a new angle on these themes that have been explored so much in when talking about Colombian popular culture. He's not entering into the drug deal himself. He's just facing the dilemma of a possible money laundering. I wanted to see how narco traffic permeates all of society in a very deep level that we don't usually see.
Okay, thank you for that information. The title, all inclusive, does that mean that because the father is involved, so is the family? If he does this deal, does that put the wife and the son at risk if the deal goes bad? Does it mean that once he is in for good, that there is no way out for any of them?
I love that interpretation of it, and it certainly there's a lot of truth in that. It started as a reference to the all-inclusive resort. They're going to this vacation, so it started like that. But then when we were rewriting the script, in a short, you're trying to make it as as concise as possible. So we were trying to maybe give less importance to the figure of the father or the stepmother or the kid, and we just couldn't do it. And I think the title became a way of thinking about families and how it's just such a complex structure that involves so many things that you cannot pull out. So your interpretation is great because it speaks to that.
Cool. And the use of the ambient music at the hotel, in the bar, at the festival was a nice touch. Other than the songs that played in the background, the only real music was at the end over the credits. It's an excellent technique. Was that your intention from the start, or did this evolve as you filmed the movie?
It started, so I originally planned to use non-diegetical music, so music, yeah, but I also wanted to feel the vibrancy of this place that's full of music, it's full of texture. And in the end, we had so much diegetical music, like real music that was in each scene, that there was just no place for the other. And it just became a way to go through emotions in this more organic way.
All right. Duván, the actors were excellent as well. The couple, Maximiliano, Alejandra, really looked like two people struggling with this situation. And the boy, Leopoldo, certainly played his part of the son who loves his stepmom and doesn't want to lose her. Tell me how you chose them for their roles. And did you know any of them before this film, or were they new to you, the result of a casting call?
Yeah, I didn't know any of them, and none of them had acted before. We opened
Oh,
up like a very broad casting call, and I had a great casting director, Pablo Sala, and he went to look for these people in real places, like wondering where would these characters live, where would these characters be. So we went to those places and started talking to people, and we ended up finding the first one that I knew we had found was Max. He's a little boy, Maximiliano, and he's very mature for his age, very intelligent, but also very sensible and very connected to his emotions. And I knew when I met him that it was going to be him. And then we used him to pick like who was going to be his stepmother, who was going to be his father, because we wanted him to have a really strong bond with, especially with his stepmother. So we started rehearsing with him and a couple of different options that we found. And that's how we ended up building this family. I feel very grateful and very lucky to have found them, because I think the casting is by far the most important thing in a film. So yeah, I'm just very grateful to have found him.
that is a very interesting way of casting, asking the child to cast his parent. I love it.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you. So is there anything else you want to talk about the film, or are you thinking about your next film that you might want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm writing a feature now. It started as a project that wanted to follow this family in another point of their lives. This film, I really wanted to explore, the child as a witness, as a, when you're a child, you have barely any control about what's going on around you. And I really wanted to explore that position, a kid that feels that the world is crumbling before his eyes, but he has very little control over it. And in the future, I want to explore when you're a bit older and you start gaining dilemmas. When the boy's going to be 16 years old and he has a say in what's going on in his family. So that's what I'm exploring now. Yeah.
Good. You got some great people to explore it with. So thank you for sharing your story, this story with us. And how can we find you or your website, social media, or share your information with our audience?
My socials, you can find me on Instagram. It's Duvan Duque V. And then we just premiered online this film. So if you're curious and want to watch it, you can go and find it all inclusive. So thanks so much for having me.
Great, thank you. And please stay in touch with us. We are the Hollywood Times today, and our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official. And thank you, and have a great rest of your day in Bogotá.
You too. Thanks so much. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you
this.
so much, Duván. Bye-bye.